What is going on?
Then he was too.
Okay, it's recording.
No, this meeting.
Much taller than
Like,
you.
who are
By
these
15
folks?
inches.
What is this all
If you
about?
should remember him
And
and
if
not
you
me.
need any of the minutes, I'll give you copies of it.
Yeah, maybe they need to sign in, and they know who their names are and stuff like
We have
that.
a little form and ask
We can
them.
ask them.
Yeah, it's recording.
Okay.
Really?
It's hard to get everyone in there, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
All right, thanks, Mom. See you in a little while.
All right, we're gonna start.
Investigate as well. That's it, get on the list.
It's 8:05. We're meeting here in lower level conference room 2 of the administration building of Teaneck. The members present, if you can, let's name each other. I'm Leonard Full, the current chairperson of the Ethics Board. We have
Heidi Fuchs.
Wendy Fuchs.
Angela Barker.
John Fagello, Teaneck Police. Ken Catter, Teaneck Health Department.
Can you spell your name, John? Your last
Yeah,
name?
sure. It's F as in Frank, Aggellello.
And
Katter. Sure. 2 T's up. It's Cater.
So just for everybody's sake, this has been a relatively, just so we all understand, this is the first time we're going to have a complaint in many years that we're going to address. We're going to go through various steps. We're going to have this call to order. We haven't even really started the meeting officially yet. But at some point, we will likely go into closed session, just so you understand when it gets to addressing specific people, any names, anything like that, we will be going into closed session, and then it'll open up again towards the end of whatever we're finished with. But so going through the steps that we need to go, I think we need to announce and include in the minutes that adequate notice of the meeting has been provided as per email notification sent to the board meetings on May 4th, 2016 by the acting township clerk and by public notification as posted on the town website, the calendar of events. This information was also sent to the Record and the Suburbanite. So I would now like to call this meeting to order. We have a second? Second. Okay. So we did the roll call. We did that already. This meeting is in compliance with the Open Meetings Public Act. We would like to, I think the first order of business is to approve the minutes of last year's meeting, which was essentially, I think I have them over here. One second. Those minutes were from May 27th, 2015's meeting. Captain Fagello was here, Angela Barber, Ken Catter, and Glenn Full. Heidi and Louise Williams, who had resigned, were not here. The next meeting was announced. The meeting was called to order by the chairperson, seconded at 7 p.m. as scheduled. No new or old business issues were raised. Called to close the meeting was seconded at 7:05 p.m. This meeting was held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Those are the minutes. Can we approve those meetings? Anyone have any? We approve it?
I approve.
Approve, yes.
Unanimously approved. Excellent. First order of business is done. Okay. I don't believe there are any other resolutions before this board. No other motions, no motions of any kind, no resolutions. Unfinished or adjourned hearings don't exist. We will now begin to address new cases. The new cases are based on various members of the government, either officers or employees who were late in filing. And please, don't hesitate to jump in if you want. But the main complaints have been that certain members of the board and various other governmental employees were late or did not file, or filed on time but left out information. Was not fully adequate on the filing of the financial disclosures as required in the state of New Jersey. Does that reasonably?
There's you have a list of those who
Well,
did
yeah,
not.
we'll talk about that.
I'll just say one person did file, because I mentioned it to him afterwards, because he started accusing somebody else of not filing things. I won't say who, but you could see if you look it up.
Okay.
And does anybody have a copy of the second piece about the missing information?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody got it, actually, even though yeah, I don't know. I also spoke to the township clerk, and nobody, he didn't have
I
it.
didn't send it to him.
Okay, send it directly to us?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe you can send it again in the next 24 hours, whatever.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I'll email it.
So let us can we get the names of who is here now? So we have Tom Abbott, right?
Mark Fisher.
Mark Fisher. You getting that? Okay. I don't have to fit.
May-Arcade?
Markfisher.
You live in Teaneck?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Barbara Sound.
Barbara Sohn, S-O-H-N.
You're Alan's wife? Hi, how are you?
And Margot Fisher, also Teaneck resident.
Okay.
I know more.
Yeah. Ex-school board.
Yeah.
And
Lois Raff Corwin.
okay. So in
I'm sorry, R-A-F-F?
Correct.
Corbin?
Corwin.
in general terms, we have.
Can I jump in with something?
Please.
Ahead of it? According to the state code, because it says, the members of the municipal ethics board shall annually elect a chairman from among the membership. And since you haven't met for a year, I imagine you should officially go ahead and vote for who's going to be
How
the
many years
chair.
was your position, the last time that we voted?
Probably 5. I think it was.
What?
In spite of what the absolute rules might say, we've generally left chairman in, year out for a period of 5 years with a basic acknowledgement that we approve every time we get together. We just say, it's, your third year of your 5, go ahead.
That's right, but you have to do something at least.
Okay, we'll include it in the minutes.
And
Good
the,
point.
the reason I brought it up is the resolution appointing, actually the 4 of you at the time, had the council deciding who the chair was.
That's not been the case for the last 10 years at least.
Yeah, well, it's in the resolution that you're the chair, and they shouldn't have done that.
Well, they can resolve whatever they wish, but if the actual actions of the board work properly, they can resolve anything. But we have been basically addressing that properly.
Okay.
But I appreciate it.
Because Lenny beat me.
Yeah.
I was the previous
She
chair.
was,
Boy, am I happy he is now.
It took a long time to figure out who was on the ethics board, because
We try to keep.
it's not easy to get this information out
We're
of
so
the town.
ethical, you don't really hear about us.
But the other part of this is, the 2 public members have been appointed by the manager. When it clearly says in the code that you have to be appointed by the governing body. And I don't know why they refuse to do that. Probably just stubbornness. And the other side of it is, it says everybody has to be a resident of Teaneck. And my understanding is you live in Fairlawn.
That's correct.
And so you're not supposed to be on this board at all.
He's ready to leave.
Like I said, if I worked there, you're supposed to be over 5'15", so it'll be okay. It was unclear. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Scott.
I don't know that we've met, but I've certainly.
I know I'm familiar with your name. I think we had a correspondence once or twice. Yes.
And certainly, it's not a reflection in any way. Certainly like the fact that you do all the medical postings.
Thank you.
Sometimes I'd like to change the format, but that's because I'm a web person. But okay, the rules say you're not allowed to be on the committee.
Well, do you have any comment pertaining to that?
No.
Because I've offered that to the clerk's office before, and I was told that I can be, that it's the general membership that has to live in town, but an official can be appointed.
Yeah, it's,
So it's, when I read it, it's not very clear to me which, I mean, I could take one side, I could take the other, so I'm just going by the direction I'm given from my
We'll follow-
supervisor.
It's-
We'll follow up with it. No, I
I
understand.
can read it. It says, each municipality of the state may, by ordinance, establish a municipal ethics board consisting of 6 members who are residents of the municipality.
That's the
But it
state.
says may.
What?
It doesn't say must. It just says may. So may means may.
And isn't there more to it than just that? Is that with a period there, or it keeps going? I thought there was more to it.
At least 2 of whom shall be public members. Now, that's confusing because public members mean members of the public. Teaneck's ordinance says 2 of them have to be public employees. So you have to have at least 2 public members by state law, and 2 of the members have to be public employees.
So which I am. So those public employees have to reside in town too?
That's not
That's-
what it says.
Yes,
Well, that's what I'm
no,
saying. It's, to
there's
me, it's
no
not clear, and I'm
It's
going
not
by my
clear.
direction.
It's not
There's
clear.
no word may.
You just read the word
You
may.
did read the word board.
You just
Oh, I'm
read the
sorry.
word may.
No,
Yeah.
it said they may establish one. It's not may be residents.
No, that was a complete
Right.
sentence. It says
Right.
may and it goes on. So may is, and everything that follows is may.
Can you read it
No.
again, Tom?
You're saying that the state ordinance has no relevance. But I'll
I'm
read
saying
it.
that
No.
what you read is not standing for your
Each
proposition.
municipality of the state, each municipality of the state may, by ordinance, establish a municipal ethics board consisting of 6 members who are residents of the municipality, at least 2 of whom shall be public members. That doesn't mean they could also establish one with 23 members who live in California.
Why don't we, just
I
for the
think
sake of.
that you're trying to make it as is clear and it's not. There's vagueness there.
I think.
I think what you're saying is there has to be 6 members. 2 of the 6 have to be appointed officials from the town, but all 6 have to live in town. That's what he's
That's
saying.
what it sounds like, and I think what I have my notes,
You
it'll,
could-
we'll bounce it back to the township attorneys and let them give us a legal answer.
Right.
That's all.
Do you know-
So until that point, I
You're
will
staying,
stay.
you're absolutely staying. I'm not kidding.
For this.
He's ready to go.
I want to go get something to eat.
I'm actually gonna move out
It
of
was
town.
updated in 2015.
Thinking about moving.
I'll put you on my mailbox.
So you work here and
this was
live here?
updated in
Yeah,
2015.
I would like the record to reflect that
But it
that
might
I am
be
a
the
resident of the
same.
township for 46 years,
But
yes,
this-
and I work here as well for 23.
He's only 39 years old.
I think it was 1995.
Then you can even get more finite and throw in more vagueness by questioning what is residency.
Right.
Since it doesn't specifically say what the definition of a resident, he spends probably most of his waking hours here in Teaneck. But I'm just saying,
I
I'm
can see
devil's
that,
advocate
but
here.
I don't
No, I
believe
think
it.
Well, you're
by
not,
default,
because there's a
since
difference
Wayne
between right
Fisher
residence
was
and
in this role,
domicile.
they just
I will
probably
say-
decided to hand it off to you.
I did raise the question,
What
and
is all of this
about the
about?
answer I got was
Where we
that
are.
doesn't apply here. So I don't know whether the attorney was involved in the decision or who was.
Right.
I'm just going by the direction.
I have it listed as an attorney question. So that's one, so we have the appointment by the governing body, we have the fact that somebody, a public employee is living outside of Teaneck, that's another issue. Again, we'll follow up on both of those. None of them, I don't think, are something that we're going to address much further in this board meeting. Any other, there was, other than the personnel issues of not filing financial disclosure, were there any other issues that we should have brought up?
Just in terms of my view of it and speaking with the local finance board and this email from the local finance board to the clerk, if you didn't exist as a body,
Mhm.
when the financial disclosures are done, they become the responsibility of the local finance board, who would automatically review them and deal with the people who don't file. According to the local finance board and what they said to me, and the way I read this email, is you're supposed to do this regardless of whether there's a complaint or not.
That's not clear. That's another question.
It is, we may not agree, but I think.
No, it's just a question, I'm not
Yeah,
even disagreeing,
right.
I'm saying, and it's been a question for many years. I was always under the impression, I think other people in this group have been as well, is that the board, the ethics board, doesn't act on its own, doesn't initiate complaints, doesn't initiate actions. We respond to complaints filed with us. So we're not a board of, we're not.
Oversight.
Yeah,
Oversight.
I understand what you're saying. I think
Mhm.
that for the financial disclosures, you are supposed to act without complaints.
Well, if you look at the Municipal Ethics Board rules and regs and all that, 1.1 does say to provide a method of assuring that the applicable standards of ethical conduct and financial disclosure for local government employees shall be clear, consistent, and uniform in their disclosure. So that's, again, does the, we can bring up a whole bunch of stuff, but the Ethics Board, I don't think, has ever done that. I think those responsibilities have been assumed by the township clerk. So, yes, that's not something we have actively done, but again, the township clerk works for the township. If we see that that's being done, and I know that this year alone, we've gotten at least 3 notices from the township clerk, at least 3, telling us we have to file, we have to make sure we file, we have deadlines. So we I think, can rest very comfortably knowing that that's being done by.
There were 3 last year as well, after the filing.
Yeah, no, that doesn't mean that that people are gonna react. I mean,
Well, I
we
know.
have laws in the United States that say you couldn't do a lot of things, people still do it, or don't do it. There's also, so before we get into any closed session or details, why don't we go through some of the rules that apply to the financial disclosure complaints. So I've made a summary of what the Teaneck Municipal Ethics Board, based on the 3 rules, are. Besides 1.1, which is the purpose I wrote, that I copied, it says 1.2, construction of rules. Rules are the rules that we're supposed to adhere to are to achieve just results, simplicity, fairness in administration, and eliminate unjustifiable expense and delay. Relaxation of rules. 1.3 is relaxation provision. Rules may be relaxed if strict adherence creates unfairness, injustice, or contrary to rules, purpose, results. Again, this is just for a summary of what we're going to be working within, the rules that we're going to work within, in case not everybody's read these ethics rules lately. We also have the state rules, 1.5 NJSA, I'm not going to go through it, says the control goes to the state in the absence of Teaneck board rules. We would look to the state rules that you've been quoting. Council, board can hire counsel independent from the municipality. I've already spoken to council. We will take that into discussion as to whether, when, and if we need it. Then, when we get a complaint, just so everybody has a sort of understanding of what happens, the board shall acknowledge within 30 days of receipt by the township clerk of a signed written complaint alleging that the conduct of any local governmental official or employee is in conflict with the municipal code of ethics or financial disclosure requirements. Such acknowledgement was sent. I think you got that. 5.2, initiation of investigation within 30 days of receipt of complaint. Board shall initiate investigation concerning facts and circumstances. I did immediately upon receipt of that start that investigation. We've got a bunch of facts here we're going to be looking at. 5.3, within 60 days of receipt of complaint, the board shall determine whether a complaint is within its jurisdiction or frivolous or without any reasonable factual basis. Opportunity to respond. So if determined to be within the jurisdiction, not frivolous, and is with factual basis, board shall provide written conclusion within 30 days of concluding to the officer or employee against whom complaint was filed and the facts and circumstances set forth therein. The employee then, 5.4, the officer or employee shall be notified that he or she may provide a statement or info regarding the complaint. 5.5 talks about determination of the reasonable doubt. 5.6 is about hearings. We're not getting into that. Then decision making. 5.71, written decision to be made no less than by 2/3 of all the board members. If there's a conflict, we can. If there is a conflict, is 5.73. Then 5.73.1 addresses that the board shall impose a fine if it believes appropriate within the limitations of New Jersey State law 40A 9.0. I'm pretty sure that the state law specifically says that we can impose a fine of $200 to $500.
We have no rights to collect, we have no
No,
access to
we
collect
can just
it.
impose it. We send a big guy for that.
Not a collection agency.
No, I think we can impose a fine. I'm not sure if that
We did
goes any
once.
further than that. Provide copy of decision to office or agency having power of removal or discipline. So once we impose a fine, it gets out of our hands. We impose the fine. After that, it may go up to the state and may recommend further disciplinary actions. And that is pretty much what the rules say about what we're required to do and what we're empowered to do. And at this point, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to read the appropriate language that will allow us to go into closed session.
Yeah,
I'll take any questions.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure, absolutely.
I think you were right. It does say may impose a fine.
Right.
Then it sounds like it didn't say may.
And, okay, but then, and I think the fines are 200 to 500. I think it's a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 5. But again, it's whatever.
I could swear
We'll
it's
get there
100,
when we
but I
get there.
can't read.
But there's no
it.
mechanism in place to collect it.
Correct.
No.
Because the only time that we had this beforehand, where we did find fault and impose a fine, it was $250 and it was not collectible.
Has it ever been paid?
I don't think so.
Because that's a lot of interest.
The person's deceased, and we spent thousands of dollars in legal fees to put this through a trial.
This went on for years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, well, that's history.
it was political.
Did you have a question on
Yes.
it? Yes.
Is Tom Abbott's complaint the only one that you're addressing this
No.
evening? So can you go into the other complaints that you're addressing?
It's almost identical to Tom Adams.
No, she's talking about the one against her.
Do you have the complaint for
Well, who-
Alan Soam that you're
Well,
addressing?
We have, yeah, well, again, so from our perspective, again, I don't
The
want to
anonymous
discuss any
letter.
individuals. I purposely did not mention any names, but since you opened up the door to that, there is a complaint against Alan Soam. And the only aspect of that I think, again, we will discuss it as a board, relate to financial disclosure. The other aspects of that are beyond the scope of the ethics board.
He's filed his financial disclosure.
That's
As
fine.
indicated on
Right.
the
No,
handout
I
that you
I
have.
have everybody who has filed currently, 2016, 2015, and 2014, that's what these lists are. Believe it or not, I've put in a lot of time because of you, but.
Keep me honest.
I like that.
And when it gets paid,
Yeah, for honest.
I perhaps should have let you know that I put together a small website which should have gotten you to all this stuff
Whatever.
really quickly.
All right. I couldn't have trusted it anyway. You know what I mean? I have to do my own due diligence.
Links to the state site, so.
So just to be clear and reiterate, the only one of merit would be the financial disclosure mentioned, and you feel the other ones are outside the scope.
As of right now, yeah, but I think that's up to the board to, that's my personal directive that I would lay out to the
Okay,
board.
so it's not appropriate for me to say anything else at this point?
You can say what,
Because this is all new to me, and
No, you can say whatever you want, but if you start discussing what's in the other
No, I'm
issues in
not
the
going
complaint.
to, other than to say that clearly, and I'm sure you'll find, that the other accusations, I should say, have no fact or are completely unsubstantiated.
Were submitted anonymously.
Were submitted anonymously, were politically motivated,
Mhm.
and are absurd. So I just want
I
that for the
appreciate that.
record.
Got that in the record? Absurd.
I like that.
No problem. Again, this is an ethics board that's looking into, we have financial disclosure and ethics violations.
Yes,
If we see that, we're going to pursue that.
of course.
If it's beyond that, it's not our scope.
I
So
understand. Okay.
rest comfortable with it.
Alfred, I agree with you about the rest being on your scope.
Thanks.
And I will email the other complaint.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I think I only have your email
Okay.
address. so
Yeah, I think you got the,
Find yours.
I think you had Angela Barker
Yeah, I got it.
and also Heidi Fuchs.
I got it in the mail.
I mailed it.
Oh,
I
okay.
got it.
That's why.
Okay. So with that,
Sure.
everybody's got, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just have a question about
Please.
process, basically. So this is maybe a two-part question, or they're related. So if something, I understand that you can't make an ethics complaint to the state if the township has an ethics board. What is the appeals process if you're not satisfied with the outcome from the township's ethics board?
So two things. Well, let me first address, I think you can complain to the state. They just are not going to address it. So you
Right.
know, so somebody can
Well,
complain.
you could go on record, but
Yeah,
if they're not
so-
gonna,
So,
yeah.
just to make sure we're, and then secondly, you want to know if we decide, whatever it is that we
Mhm.
decide, and the complainant, let's say in this case, Mr. Abbott is not happy with that, I'm not sure if, I guess he can file again, maybe you know it.
I can appeal to the local finance board.
Okay.
Okay.
Start
Which
writing
is
now.
where this
You
would
may
go.
start writing now.
No, don't tell me that.
I'm just kidding. We're old friends, we met about
Okay.
15 minutes ago. We good? So I'm gonna, were there any, I'm sorry, did I?
No, I think
Okay.
that's my question. It's, I'm just trying to understand what the whole process of this is. And also Barbara mentioned, Barbara's complaint is something that, in her mind, she thought was relevant for the ethics board, and you're saying that it's not relevant to the ethics board. Where would you
Well,
go
part
with
of it
something
is.
like that?
Part
Part
of
of it
it-
is, but the part
Part
that's
of it
not,
is-
then where do you
I
take
also don't
something like that?
again, this is my own personal, I'm speaking for, I don't like anonymous complaints,
Well, I think
you know.
I completely agree with you. Personally, anything that I see that's anonymous, I discredit, just off the top of my head. I don't think that's how most people respond to anonymous things. I think that,
Well,
you know,
with the ethics board, so
right.
we're ethical.
But, so I guess my question then is, where would that go then? If it weren't to go to the local ethics board,
Right.
does that go to the election commission? Does that, where does that
You
end
have
up?
to ask town council or whoever deals with these things.
Well, the problem with asking the town council about these things, and here's the catch-22, is the town council has in fact self-described himself as being the attorney for the council, not for the public. So by definition then,
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to accept
Right.
his
Right.
opinion
Right.
on this if that's
Yeah.
his attitude, is that he's there to protect the council, not to protect the people of Teaneck.
Right. And I'm not, I can't give advice. The only thing I would suggest then is that you might want to seek your own counsel. Meaning, you may need to talk to outside counsel, third-party counsel, private counsel,
There
to
is
get
a-
an answer.
There is a question as to whether the ethics board can use the town's council.
Oh, yeah, we're not.
Okay.
We're not, don't worry.
Last time we used Fort Lee's,
We're not. And we're not even going to use
I
any.
thought Marty Kramer,
somebody with an R, I think.
Marty Kramer was one of the attorneys in that whole appeal process.
We can talk about counsel, why don't we, in an open session for a few minutes. Various names have been suggested and not anybody related to Teaneck government at all. And I want, if, again, my thoughts are, and I spoke to an attorney who I didn't know ever before, but sounds pretty good, who's not even in Bergen County, because I prefer not even have any association with Bergen County. If and when we bring in an attorney, I'd prefer not to have any links, so even Fairlawn or Tenafly or, Fort Lee is a little too close for my comfort if there were to be really an ethics question that we need to seek counsel from. So, I think I have the name of the person who I'd like to probably, propose if and when we do. If we have further meetings, we probably would want him here.
Can we get pro bono counsel?
Not a
No.
chance.
Because-
You're talking about attorneys.
And this is a
I
government
know.
office, this is public money being used for this.
So they're not gonna do it?
No.
Last meeting anyway.
And they know they can, it's public money, so
Yeah.
they know that they can charge.
But it's, the amount that is available to pay them is close to
Do pro bono.
zero.
Right, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
so it's not,
I have a friend that does this kind of work, you know.
yeah, it's close to, it's
Probably
almost
very
pro bono,
Right?
it's not.
I'm not sure that an ethics committee member should bring a friend on for this.
But anyway.
No, he works, and he's not gonna come on, but he's a member of the
So I have
firm.
an attorney who actually is on a ethics committee, he's the attorney for an ethics board in a different county, you know, if I can't remember where it's in southern, mid-Jersey, you know, south of here. Anything-
Sounds like a good choice.
Yeah, so,
We charge
so
travel
we'll see.
time too.
Do you have a budget for, I mean,
No. No limit, no budget, we can go for years on this. We can, we're
Can't
planning.
collect fines, we got no budget, we got a pro bono.
I know, right?
What sounds unethical about this?
Our next meeting will be in Bermuda.
Now we wonder where our
Now
tax
we're
money's
gonna
going.
see
That was just a joke, off the record. Please, I'm gonna be sued by somebody.
If you decide you are not responsible for this without a complaint,
Which of this?
for financial disclosure statements being filed,
No, I'm not saying, I don't think
I'm
that's
saying
where.
if we-
Oh,
if
if, yeah.
you decide that, can you let me know
We will.
that part?
No, we don't let you know.
Because I'll do a complaint until I start filing.
Well, you did file a complaint.
I didn't do one about 2016,
Okay,
where some of the same people still haven't filed.
you're right. And I have a list of those people.
Others have, I know.
I listed them.
It's really easy. to
When
find.
the deadline for
April-
filing was,
April.
April something,
and they're late, yes.
So in closed session, you'll be reaching your next step decisions, is that?
I don't know. We'll, you know, it's a whole, I can't, I'm not ruling, I'm not,
Gotcha.
we're only,
I don't want to wait for it. You're not going to have an open session afterwards, are
we
you?
will, but I would expect it to be brief. This is the, you know, this is the last issue. You know, this is the only issue we're gonna be talking about in closed session. The only thing we might, once we get out of closed session, we might talk about, again, hiring an attorney or administration of how we go forward on the rest of this stuff. So that's my thinking. So if you're more than welcome to hang around and wait. And I'm supposed to tell you, in the closed session authorization and all that kind of stuff, when we expect to open up again.
I've seen that. It never works.
I know, so that's why I'm trying to be fair and nice, saying, I wouldn't wait, if I was you, I wouldn't waste my time waiting around, but you, again, it's your call. You do what you
You
want.
could text us. Some of us will be in the other building at the
I'm
end
sure
of the
you will
meeting.
be. I'm surprised you're actually down here at all. No, honestly, you know, this is,
Is that small potatoes
Yeah, this
compared
is
to over there?
relatively. So I'm gonna go into closed session now. Thank you, everybody, for whoever was here. I'm gonna make the, you can listen or not, but the authorization of the ethics board to enter into closed session be resolved. I'll give you a copy. Be resolved by the ethics board of the township of Teaneck pursuant to the provision of the Open Public Act